Eva has a question behind the lens. This is a very good thing because we're going to enter dialogue with questions and answers. Please.
Yes, Zenon, you traveled a lot and you was in California, in England, and now you are in Egypt. How Egypt influenced you?
Well, it's a good question because basically I have to go into the periods of all the different periods. I've been in a 7-year cycle since I left America with nothing and went back to zero and went back to completely no agenda and arrived in Glastonbury, England in Avalon with nothing and no agenda. I was in the empty point. And I descended to Hades, to the lowest common denominator, and hang out with the people, the alcoholic, the drug. And I merged with them to understand their nature so that I could understand my full nature. So I call this 7-year period the shadow material. So basically, it's understanding the light of me and the highest thing, the spiritual component, and also my lowest component. But I had to, in the outer stage that we manifest, work with it in a reflective mirror to find out that the demon and my own iniquity, that I had to trace it back to where I was participating in it and take responsibility in order to heal the wound. And this is really, really deep stuff. How to heal the genetic predisposition to lie to ourselves. And it come all the way back. And we all have it. It's our genetic heritage of the negation we carry. In initiation cycle, when people took initiation, it was called the dweller on the threshold. And when you confronted it, it was an entity that embodied all of your negativity, all of your doubts, all of your fears, and it had power over you, and said, you can't pass by this way. And when the proclamation of the master, a master within, the spiritual master say, you have no power over me, and can be assimilated into a similar story when Christ went to the desert for 40 days and Satan produced there the embodiment of the mystery who tempted him to come outside of his circle and misuse his power for lesser purpose. And finally, get behind me, Satan. So all of this supposition of light and dark and of what's going on in humanity is basically light and dark. This war of dark forces and light forces goes all the way back into what we call the galactic war and the fall of Lucifer. So this is really, really deep stuff, but we're encoded in it because we're human beings. And I'll say for surety, your soul is immortal. You may not be having an experience right now, but the experience of your body is enough. You'll find out when you die. That I know. But in order to understand this mystery that there is no death, and that basically the soul is immortal, you have to create the ground of your own experiential model. Otherwise, it's just something out there, somebody's saying it's a great idea, you can read a book about it, you can read other people's experiences. But it's being made grounded in your own direct experience, and this is the Gnostic school. This is why my foundations in the Western esoteric streams are based on really, really deep stuff that I found like, okay, people have understood this. Rudolf Steiner, the same thing, anthroposophy, a spiritual system with mysteries and grail archetypes. So my stream goes all the way back to America, but this stream from Egypt has prepared me in that I was not mature. I didn't know my darkness, and I wasn't aware of it. And we all have it. But they have no power over me. It doesn't mean that I'm free. I'm not free until I take my last breath here. But basically each day I'm looking at which voice is talking. And that's the one, the human one. Yeah, we're all suffering and on the wheel, or the soul saying, just keep going, you're on the last path up the mountain. It is lonely and isolated. Not many will understand. And it's okay. This is the journey that each soul, becoming the Buddha or the Christ or the prophet, arduous. It's not for everybody, but what they discovered is for everybody. And finding your relationship to it is for everybody, because they're called the way showers. So I'm going to, in this anthology, give you all of the best that I've discovered, so that you don't have to go through 20, 40 years of experiential stuff. So this is my purpose here. But it is a work. And if you're interested, get yourself a notebook and a pen and set up a dialogue. You can dialogue with me directly on the inside, which is much better. And also, I'm looking eventually at the student body and a few people who want to see how to bring a practical model around the model that I've been shown, because we really do it. So this is my prayer every day. And the shadow material, you must know your darkness as well as your light. It's called growing up.